Uh, Good morning to everyone. Today's September 16. It's approximately 10:04 a.m. And once again, I would like to thank the Secretary or Acting Secretary of Finance, Ms. Bernie Palacios, and her team, Director Alvarez, Administrator Cabrera, Mr. Bruce Camacho, and thank you. Welcome back to the Senate. So we are discussing the budget submission from the administration as well as the questions being asked about the current fiscal year. So that was the conversations that we're discussing yesterday before we recess. I wanted to pose this question first, and I'm hoping that I can get guidance from finance. There's a public knowledge of the decision that is rendered by the U.S. District Court about the settlement from IPI, of which some are stand to be remitted to the government. And I believe, and I stand corrected, there's approximately $5 or $6 million. And I posted this question because we feel that we need the true, the most accurate information as to where that money is going to go and how is it going to be used. Because coming from this side, for every time that during every fiscal year that you receive in excess of 200,000 or 250,000, has to be reported to the legislature. So can somebody provide that answer to the committee?
Hi, Senator. As of yesterday, we received a 2.7 million of from the IPI settlement, but I don't have any information what is our plan with that collection yet. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for, so that is received. And there's no like accompanying document like this one is going to here, this one is going to there.
Yeah.
It's just a cash infusion.
Yeah.
Okay, so that just saying that, that triggers that notification. So we should be expecting, Council, can you chime in and please provide guidance on the legal side of the process? We should be expecting a notification from the get-go because what transpired yesterday of us approving the proposed loan gave rise to the question of what about the 25% or what about this and all that. So just if you can get more information as to that. And I see Mr. Eleuterio Palacios is nodding his head. And if you want to say something, sir, please come up. So it's consistent. Okay, I'm going to recognize the council before Senator Manny. Go ahead, Joe.
So finance received 2.7 million from IPI, and I know IPI went through the bankruptcy court. Normally, there should be a breakdown of what money the judge gives to the secured creditors. It's got to be some sort of note that says 2.7 million is for something. Is it casino fees that were owed? Is it it's got to come with something. I mean, where is finance going to book that?
Okay.
How is it going to be booked? Without any language, you just get the money and it doesn't say what the money's for?
In our system, it's recorded under the GRT.
Gross revenue tax. So it's not casino fee.
Yeah, that's all the information that I have
Okay.
based on what's recorded in the system.
Yeah, I highly encourage Department of Finance to declare that publicly because there's a lot of obligations that we're trying to cover down, and it helps us here in the legislature navigate moving forward. So I'm going to recognize, before I recognize Dave, go ahead, Joe.
Just a follow-up. If it's recorded on GRT, that means it's received as part of the fund that's available for FY 2026, isn't it? If it's recorded under gross receipts tax,
Well, we're still in 2025.
GRT?
I know it's tricky, but go ahead and answer.
Yeah, it's recorded in FY25 because
Right?
we received the payment in FY25.
So shouldn't it be part of the 2026 general fund money?
I think
For 2026 budget, general fund money.
yeah, can you please get a guidance? You can actually go and I can allow you to recuse yourself a little bit to get information because we want to put a closure to this. In plain reading right now, ma'am, it should be recorded in 2025 and it should trigger a supplemental budget and appropriation per se. But we're looking at what, 5 days or 2 weeks before the end of the fiscal year, and if that's possible, that is possible, but it's going to create a, it has to trigger a conversation with the House as well. So, can you get more clarification? I'm hoping that the acting secretary is doing just that right now. So we're gonna Dave. I recognize Fiscal.
Good morning, Lino. I just want to know how much you have in the books that is owed by IPI in taxes.
I'm sorry, I don't have that information, but I can check maybe and provide the information later.
Okay, so this collection of approximately $2.7 million, is this collection relating to those receivables that haven't been paid by IPI, or it's considered like other income for FY 2025?
Hi, Dave. I just want to point out that the request to receive the tax information from IPI, that we can't disclose that information.
No, but what we're asking is how much is the amount of money that's recorded to date that is owed by IPI in the books of the Sinaloa government in terms of taxation, BGRT, excess tax, the annual fees from the lease agreement for the payment of the 75% to the retirees.
Yes, anything tax related, we can't disclose.
Even the amount, just for that one would have been subject to audit, and those numbers there should be disclosed in the interim financial statement. So I don't see any reason why they cannot be disclosed.
Well, I'm sorry. Just for clarification, it can't be disclosed from our office. You can get the information if the information is available
Yes, so
elsewhere.
I'm asking from the Secretary of
Yes.
Finance, what's the balance in your books that this committee can understand and where we stand financially on the IPI, obligations to the Sinaloa government.
We can. There's some information we can share, but that one I don't have available with me right now.
Are you, Mr. Chairman? Yeah.
Thank you, Dave. And respectfully, if anything that is not, in violation of your, of law or provisions or regs, kindly provide that information to the committee as soon as you can.
Yes.
Thank you, Director. I'm going to recognize Senator Manny Castro.
Yeah, I remember during my time in the House, there was a bill that we passed to, should this happen with the settlement, it go to the retirees, but I don't think it became public law. You mentioned that fund went into, or that settlement, that amount went into general revenue, like that's where it's at right now. Just correct me if I'm wrong. The funds that we pay the pension obligation bond or the retirees, it comes from that source, Dave? Okay, so in essence, it's kind of gonna do its job already. All right, thank you, Chair. I yield.
Just wanted to clarify. That is actually a gross revenue tax, not necessarily, you know, that's the reason why the council had asked earlier about whether or not it's for the annual license fee. But the response that we got from Secretary of Finance Office is it's a GRT. So we look forward to receiving that guidance. I'm sorry, your name again? You didn't say your name earlier.
Pam.
Okay, Pam. Thank you so much. Any other members for finance on this matter before we move to other item? Senator? Senator Cabo? Okay, so, oh, sorry. Okay, I recognize Senator Cabo.
Question. Thank you, Chairman. No, so it's great that, you know, this transaction and this communication is being delivered, because just in knowing, you know, we're in that process of deliberating the budget, you know, and finding out outside sources coming and being transmitted. Like the legal counsel says, there's always that, you know, breakdown in regards to the funds necessary and exactly for what purpose does it serve. And that's very important under these circumstances. And hopefully we get, you know, the furnished information, so either it's gonna be added or deleted when we come up with the, you know, the balance, trying to balance the budget. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Jesus Mosia, Senator Cabo. I have a. Do you want to respond to that, or no? So I have a question for Mr. Cabrera. On the submittal for FY 2026, the 35% represents the. Let me get my docs in order. Okay, so there's a 937,843. That's the projection. And I'm looking at the submittal of the budget. And again, based on my recollection on the 1949, and the 35% that you control, part of 20% of that after your employees, right? 20% is for sub grants. But I'm concerned that the submittal of the FTEs exhausted. Actually, it may have surpassed the projection. So I'm concerned about how are we going to facilitate the sub-grants under that. Just so we can be consistent. No? Go ahead.
Thank you, Senator. Good morning. To address the situation, we have made transfers already. We have new grants, and we are transferring employees at a partial or full amount to reduce our liability on the 2610I. So we're talking about a transfer about 200K to federal grants, and that'll reduce the liability you're talking about.
So the spreadsheet that was submitted to the legislature then is not factual based on what you just said?
We just made the corrections. Actually, some of them are still being processed right now.
Can you submit to represent what you just said? Can you submit an updated spreadsheet?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And I ask this because, number one, thank you for helping our people get employed. Number two, please don't terminate them, but just make sure that we don't forget the 20% for the sub grant program. No, because when information comes in like this and it doesn't jive, it creates this kind of conversation. And I appreciate being you control this. No better person to answer than you. So I appreciate that, Director. Dave, go ahead, Dave, and recognize.
The we did submit to OMB. First. The technically after making the transfers, actually I'm not too sure. Probably 500, 600,000.
You want to transfer out $200,000 to a federal program, right?
Yes.
And so how much exactly do you need for personnel, and how much exactly do you need for for operation for FY 2026? Because we did send out an email to you, Mr. Cabrera, requesting for that information. And obviously today, as of today, we haven't received a response from your office, and that's very critical for us to receive that information.
Thank you, Mr. Damapan. We'll provide the update timely. But in my opinion, to run the office successfully should cost us about 900,000.
On personnel
No, altogether.
altogether.
Yeah.
And even if we factor out the 20% of that, will you still survive without the 20%?
We will figure out a way. We'll find a way to survive. We can always write more grants and talk to our grantors to try and make a transfer.
You, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Administrator Cabrera. Believe any other member wish to ask? I'm gonna recognize Floor Leader Dono first.
Thank you, Chairman. My question is for finance, actually. In the current fiscal year, what is funding the GHLI? Because it wasn't budgeted in the fiscal year 25 budget. So how is that being funded right now?
Senator, I'm sorry, I don't have that information, but I can provide that later.
Would you be able to provide information of how much is owed for GHLI?
I don't have the balance too. It's monitored by the JHLI section.
Okay. What is do you know what would next fiscal year's 25% for the retirees come out to?
How much will be the total?
Of the
Or-
25% for the retirees?
I don't have the amount, but based on the transaction, in one pay period, we're paying from about 500,000 for one pay period.
Dave, do you know if the 1.8 that is currently in the House version, is that the House's version or is that the administration's proposal? The 1.8. So you don't have any information as to what that 1.8, how far that 1.8 can extend to? If you're saying that it's 500 every pay period, then that should only last about three and a half.
3 to 4, yeah, 3.5.
I see that all the utilities for the government was placed into a government utilities account. Do you know what's the estimated cost for the utilities for the total and executive branch will come out to for next fiscal
For
year?
the executive branch,
Yes.
I don't have the specific, but for all government, including the legislature and judiciary, the total government utilities is ranging from 550 to 600,000 a month.
But do you know what percentage of all agencies have converted to the Nighthawk?
Based on our last update from CUC, I think it was only 87 accounts out of 400, but we're really pushing all the agencies now to clear all of their, I mean, to move to prepaid.
So you're only talking about less than or about 20%.
Yeah.
Do you know if there's a greater push to ensure that everyone is switched over come fiscal year 2026?
So we're also assisting the department that doesn't have funding to pay, because in order to move to prepaid, you will need to pay in advance. So that's one of the struggle that the departments are facing. So we're also we just want them to they can ask for assistance from our office, and we already have a set process for them to go through. Yeah.
Okay. Epi, for all the agencies that are getting their grants, are these grants allowed to cover, for the most part, the utilities for the entire department, or maybe even the division that was awarded those grants?
If they put the utilities in their grant narrative, then it should cover. There's only a few that I've heard of that doesn't have utilities, and that's primarily because they just didn't write it in. But we should highly advise every agency that's getting grants to put it in, and to budget a good amount, and to have it advanced to CUC to prevent disconnection.
Shouldn't that be something that maybe your department can assist with for all these agencies that are applying for grants, and the consideration to include utilities as part of the grant submission?
Yes, we do. For all the grants that come through our office, we do advise them, because it also factors into the indirect costs, right? So if you put utilities, then you pay the low rate at 7.5%. If you don't put utilities in your grant and get awarded, you pay 32% indirect costs. So there's a incentive for putting utilities, 7.5% indirect.
So I mean maybe in working with these agencies, I think that should be the greater push. If you're saying that they could easily save by including utilities as part of the grant submission, then that's something that I guess should be focused on also for their upcoming fiscal year awards.
Yes, Senator, you're right. But some grants, like for example, like aging center, right? They get grants for food, and they cannot really pay for power. So certain other grants in their pool can pay for power, but not every grant can pay for power. It's just the way they have certain.
If there's a
Yes.
creative way, right? If you're saying food, then food storage would be a consideration for utilities, right? Something like
Yes, but
to that extent.
they outsource their food. They buy it and bring it.
That's all I have for now, Chair.
Thank you, Floor Leader Maglonia. I recognize now Senator Paul Maglonia.
The Director,
Sano.
is just following up on the utility costs here. I remember you had a proposal to, for example, provide solar for Department of Correction, DPS, and those areas in Susupi. So are those grants already approved for utilities?
In regards to the DOC, that's up for it's already out for bid for the A&E. After A&E is construction, or installation. So the A&E, if I'm not wrong, closes September 29 for DOC.
Okay, so they have an award for
Yes, the DOC has an award for, if I'm not wrong, like 1.423 million.
Okay, so let me just understand this. So they don't have a problem with CUC, them getting their own solar grant, installing panels. They would then have to get out of the CUC system, or they can use that and then use as backup. Is there any legal issue with that?
Sir, as of July, the interconnection agreement between CUC and the CNMI government was just signed. So that's why we're able to connect now the multi-purpose, then next the governor's office. So it was just resolved recently in July, end of July, July 20-ish. So they're not part of the net metering. They're part of the, if you're not a net metering customer, you're a interconnection customer for the government. So now we can connect. We have to fill in the forms, and they have to do an inspection from DPW by CUC, upgrade the lines if we need to, and then we pay the fee, and then we can connect our solar.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful to hear. And so, CHCC then and other agencies can avail of that agreement with, or do you have to seek their approval, CUC, or should for all government agencies that kind of an arrangement? What did you call that document again? Interagency.
The interconnection agreement policy.
Okay.
For in regards to the hospital, the phase 3 is with procurement right now for review before it gets announced. Phase 3.
Oh no, but I'm just saying that interconnection agreement will then be available for other agencies
Yeah.
to seek grants so that they can provide their own projects and then be allowed to still use CUC as a backup power supply?
Yes, sir. That's gonna be grid connected, non-export. So we are able to connect to the grid, but using hybrid inverters, we're not gonna export back because maybe CUC is not ready for the backflow or the outflow of power to the grid.
Oh, but CUC is working on that, right? Because you would want to take advantage of the extra power generated, right?
That is true, but we're waiting. CUC, in my opinion, is waiting for their battery storage devices to come in. I think they're buying about 500 to 1 meg of battery storage in the near future. We will wait as they also upgrade their generator, their gensets.
So that also kind of interconnection agreement can be taken advantage by the municipality, right?
Yes, sir. Any government office,
Okay.
any.
And so may I ask, going back to CHCC, what is their utility billings monthly again? Do you know the
On average, if I'm not wrong, utilities, electric is about maybe 210
a month?
a month or something like that.
And your
Every solar that gets connected at the hospital is a 5% reduction, which is about 13,000 some dollar savings per month. So every phase, the hospital is trying to go 7 phases to reach about 85% offset. So right now they're going to be on phase 3.
and they're catching up with their accounts payable at CUC now. They're paying on. I should be asking them, but just.
I'm sorry, I cannot answer that. I'm not the hospital, but I can only tell you the numbers as we write the grants or help write grants with the hospital. We know the figures from those narratives.
Do you
So-
know how much they're net metering back to CUC with the present solar?
That should be 0 because they're currently only offsetting like 12%. So you usually net meter when you can exceed 100%. So right now they're only at 12%, at least 12%.
Oh.
So you have to wait until you hit 100 before you can get money.
Also,
back.
but I understand they're not using any of those solar to the hospital. They're just connecting it direct to the grid line.
No, we installed at the request of the CUC, we had to install a primary meter line, power pole, to record any outflow of power from the hospital. So that's a requirement on the compliance section. That's why they disconnected the solar phase 1 at the hospital. CUC believes that they were throwing back power. So as of now, it should be zero outflow. That's good, right? for now,
Mm.
showing that the power that's generated from the solar stays within the hospital.
So they're using it.
Yes.
Okay. Enough for now, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
So, si Senator Po Manglonia, I'm going to encourage the chairman of PUTC to call a meeting with CHCC and CUC and OGM to get clarity on some of that. This is a good question. No? Vice President Magofnia, recognize.
Suzus Masi Chair, good morning again to the team who are here today. So staying on the topic of utilities, I know that CUC put out a moratorium to hold off on accepting applications for customers who want to install solar panels at home, right? So do you know if that's still the case? Would you know?
From what I do know, that's a net metering question. They have a moratorium on net metering.
Sure, but it's
But-
going to connect to the next questions that I'm asking. So
Okay.
do you know if the moratorium is still in place?
I think it's still in place.
Okay,
But however, residential clients are still allowed to get their own solar on their own. That's what I do know.
okay. And it wouldn't be just residential, even businesses, right? Because at some point, they're still connected to the grid regardless of the amount of solar panels that are on their buildings. So, I mean, I'm just a little bit confused and concerned because the whole purpose or premise behind the moratorium was to ensure that there's no instability on the grid when all these people are, using solar. But given the testimony this morning that if we have all these government agencies starting to, use the solar panels and still connected on the grid, and again, it goes back to the net metering, right? Because the net metering is just a system that nets it out, basically, right? Is there no concern of grid instability any longer then? I mean, I don't get it. The whole purpose behind the moratorium was to not create that instability. But if we have so many, agencies putting on their solars, like, that kind of contradicts CUC's rationale behind the moratorium.
That's a good question. I think that should be answered by CUC. However, in the interconnection agreement, we are allowed to connect 70%, to do a 70% offset for government
Sure, and
buildings.
so I know that that's a question for CUC, and obviously the chairman of PUTC is taking note of this because we really do need to bring CUC in for further questioning and understanding, for clarity. But when we talk about the interconnection agreement policy, right, which is governmental and CUC, was there a discussion with CUC as to what impact this would have on the grid? I mean, regardless, right, you're connecting to the grid, so whether it's commercial or residential, there's still an impact on the grid. So when these agreements were being, being made between CUC and the governments, was there any discussion on the impact of instability on the grid?
Senator, for all I know, we're not exporting, so there should be no instability to the grid for now. That's all I can say. There's no export. Maybe CUC has mentioned in the past that they want to purchase the extra power, but I don't think their technology or their system is ready for excess power. I think they're still working on it.
Okay.
And that's a CUC question that
Okay.
I'm not comfortable to answer.
Okay, not a problem.
Just point of clarification. I think what I'm hearing is they're not uploading to the grid, so that's why they're able to do it. The agreement is just so that there's no legal issue that an agency builds a project. So they allow them to build a project, just use it on your own, don't touch our grid line for now. I guess that's why.
But majority, I mean, you can't solely rely on solar 100%. So you're still connected to the grid no matter what, because you need the redundancy in case there's, like, for instance, when we have clouds, right? You're not collecting as much energy from the sun. So you still need CUC no matter what. And that's where I'm asking, right? Because when you're connected to the grid and solar, right, at some point you're still remitting, or I don't know what's the proper terminology for that, but somehow energy is still going onto the grid, if I'm understanding that.
We do have a technology now that doesn't
So
backflow. So
Okay,
there's inverters right now that we install that don't backflow to the grid.
okay,
And for the purpose, Mr. Senator Manglona is correct. It's just to legally define the parameters of CUC and the government. Apparently, their lawyers and our lawyers, we got into it about the interconnection agreement, and CUC is the one that drafted the whole interconnection agreement. So they are aware that they have to do the inspections and all the checks before they fully connect.
okay,
So we do go through the process
okay.
and pay the fees.
All right. So, okay, we will leave it at that, and we'll ask more clarification from CUC. Question still under CUC, and then I guess I would direct my question to finance now. Is the central government current on all the bills, all the payables due to CUC?
No. Yeah, we still have outstanding payable to CUC.
Wasn't there an agreement made by the administration and CEC to promise that they will stay current with current bills? Because that was one of the requests of the judge, right? In order for CEC not to go into receivership, that the government has to do its part and make sure that they are being current with their payments to CEC for current bills. And so if we have outstanding balances, we're already, in breach of our agreement.
Yes, so we've been trying our best to communicate with the departments and agencies to be on top of their CUC bill or CUC payments. So we've been giving them guidance. If they need funding, they can reach out to our office. We can provide them a template of memo that they can fill out and request for funding. But since our process is decentralized, so it's really up to the department when are they gonna enter their CUC.
Is the governor
Mhm.
aware of that?
We were providing updates. I'm providing updates to the secretaries.
Okay, but my question is the governor aware that there's outstanding balances from the central government to CUC? Because I think it's important that he knows and he's aware of it, because there's an agreement between CUC and central government or the administration.
Yes, yeah. So the last so we had a meeting with CUC in regards to that order from the court that we need to be up to date, right? So we also discuss it. I mean, not me, but my boss discussed this with the governor, but I'm just not sure what is the result of that discussion after that.
Okay, because the annual visit that the judge takes is somewhere around February to March, and he comes here annually to check on things here, right? And what we don't want to happen is for him to come here and find out again that that agreement is not being complied with, and jeopardizes whatever comes out of that. We continue to demonstrate our inability to keep our promises when we make agreements, right? And if certain departments or divisions are delaying the process for finance to try and stay current on the payments, I think that needs to be addressed. We cannot continue to allow, these delinquencies from these departments to affect the entire image and reputation of the central government, because obviously finance is trying to do their best to stay current, but if the other key players are not doing their part, then it affects everybody, right? And so we need to make sure that whoever these delinquents are, that we call them out and hold them accountable. we cannot allow them to jeopardize the entire CNMI because of their inability to do something so simple that they have to do on a monthly basis anyway. And if templates are already available, I don't understand what is causing that delay, you know. And so I just wanted to ask on that. And did we finally reconcile with CUC as to those prior, the arrears that we had? Because I know that the last status we got is that they were still working on it, but I think tentatively there was a credit balance out of the reconciliation. They identified that the central government actually had a credit balance with CUC. I don't know if that was still the case now, but do you know if that the reconciliation is actually complete and no longer tentative or preliminary?
Is this about the OPA 1%?
I mean, that was the idea, was to use the credit balance to offset against the OPA fee that was due to from CUC, right?
Mhm.
But before we even touch on OPA fees, do we know the true status of what the government owes versus what CUC says we owe? Is the reconciliation already done?
Yes, we already completed our
So
reconciliation.
outside of the OPA negotiation, where are we with that reconciliation? What is the true balance of the central government?
So for as of July 31st, the whole government owes CUC 2.1 million.
So we don't have a credit balance.
This is outside the OPA fee. But if we're gonna consider the OPA fee, hold on, let me get the amount.
Wait, okay, so the $2.1 million it's an outstanding, right, from the
Yes,
government, and
yes.
this is from the prior years.
Yes,
This is not
for-
current.
This is as of July 31st,
No,
2025.
so we need to break it apart, right? We need to
Mhm.
know so how much do we owe currently in the fiscal year? Because this negotiation was done, I think, last year when the judge was here,
Okay.
right? So moving forward, like, we need to set apart the timeline
Mhm.
of when that negotiation was done. How we were supposed to be current with all our bills moving forward. So if you're saying that we have an outstanding, is that outstanding attributed to current utility bills, or is that inclusive of the arrears?
Okay, sorry. Let me just rephrase that. So, hold on. So, as of September 30, 2024, we owe 887,000.
Okay, that's after the reconciliation. We
Yes.
still have a balance due.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
And then for FY 2025, we owe 1.2 million.
So 1.2 million. Okay. And you're saying that the outstanding balance is because we couldn't get the departments to verify their usage?
Process their payments or enter their invoices in Munis.
Can we get a list of all those outstanding departments, please?
Yes.
Because we really need to, like, get cracking on this. Like, how
Okay.
can we, look at the budget and budget appropriately if we don't know what the true balances are? And we need to call them out because we cannot continue to, go down this path. So can you provide me or the committee with a list of all the departments who are outstanding on their payment?
Yes, I can
Okay,
provide that.
Thank you. So I'm done with utilities. Now I just need to get some clarification from finance. I think it is my understanding that for the line of credit of $50 million that we authorized, I think, was it last year, for the EPA projects or EDA projects, right? Was that right? Okay. It is my understanding that MPLT agreed to collateral the interest income. Dave, please correct me if I'm wrong. To collateral the interest income that is normally remitted to the legislature for appropriation annually, so that they can facilitate the process, the bridge, right? for payment. So, council, this is where I need clarity. If we use the interest income as collateral or security deposit to accommodate the $50 million line of credit, in essence, doesn't that mean that we've put a hold on that interest income? To ensure that if finance was late on the payments, right? Because there's supposed to be a 30-day turnaround time to pay those invoices. And the only reason why MPOT agreed to that agreement is because they were gonna put a hold on the interest income should finance default on the payment. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that brings me then to my next question. If that interest income is essentially already obligated, right? It's on hold. It's being used as a security deposit or collateral. We just passed the legislation yesterday for the $29 million, which uses MPOT's interest income as a form of payment to offset against the monthly or whatever, the payment, the repayment. How can we use the interest income to pay for the 29 million if it's essentially already on hold? I mean, I just thought about that last night. Does that make sense? Right? So we already collateral that interest income for the line of credit, but yet we went ahead and passed legislation for the $29 million loan, saying that we are agreeing to use the interest income that we put on collateral for the payment of the $29 million.
Point of clarification, I may be mistaken, but I think the initial public law did not include the interest income, and I think that there was a revised bill that would have allowed that, but we never proceeded with that, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not a collateral right now that currently, unless it's an agreement that they made separate from the law that was.
You mean the 29 million that we just passed?
No, the 15.
The line of credit.
The line of credit. It's not tied to, or it shouldn't be tied to.
I thought that was the understanding that there were.
The second legislation that came through
Let's-
that never passed.
Let's take a short recess.
Okay,
So-
thank you. Sorry.
to a meeting. Vice President Manglovia, still have the floor. You yield your
Sure.
time? I'm sorry, Vice President Manglovia.
Thank
I really
you,
apologize.
Chair. No, I think my questions have been clarified, and I have no further questions at this time, so I yield. Thank you, Chair.
Jesus Masi, Vice President Manglovia. For the first time, I want to recognize Senator Cruz. Then I'll go to
Thank
the
you.
others for the second.
Thank you, Chairman. In regards to the last discussion about EDA, I know that this is 50 million line of credit, right? But it's worth 97, I think 97 million of awarded project here. And I understand that the reason why we have this line of credit because of to have a seed money to proceed with the project. And the process is for like what Vice President mentioned about reimbursement. So this is gonna be just to understand, is gonna be a 50 million reimbursement, right? Because if you're talking about covering the whole 97, it's impossible with the 50 million. So that means when you have a seed money to do the project, the 97 million worth of project, that means we have 50 million of a line of credit reimbursement from the federal government, right? Because when we pay, right, when we use our money, they reimburse. Like what Ms. Balaja mentioned back then, that because I question why do we have to have a seed money when we really need money? I mean, we need money for the project, so we have to sacrifice some our resources, right? Like the line of credit just to get that money to proceed with the project. In other words, that 15 million will be reimbursed if we use those 50 million, right? We use our line of credit money, and then we submit the receipt for that particular project. They didn't reimburse us because so that one is worth 15 million of reimbursement, right? So that 15 million of reimbursement you mentioned about putting in, what is that account again for the 25%? Is that part of that? By the way, how much reimbursement do we have right now from that EDA project?
We don't have the information, Senator. Yeah.
So how many projects already? Because I know there's a timeline for all these projects. I think the last project will be expired on 2027, and the first one that will expire is just last year. Is those projects done already, or still ongoing?
So those projects are still ongoing. Yeah, the performance period is I think ending somewhere in 2027. They've extended those projects.
So how many projects we haven't?
I would have to check with OPD on that.
So you don't have that?
Yeah.
So this is the one that I want to find out that about the reimbursement. How much of reimbursement do we have right now from that EDA? Because I know it's 15 million that we and that should be available, right? Or we're using all those reimbursement, because it has to be, we have to be reimbursed with all those, like what one mentioned. Probably once they reimburse us, you give it back to MPLT, right? But then this is worth 97 million EDA awarded project. So what I'm trying to say is how you guys managing the reimbursement? Everything goes to the MPLT?
So our process, Senator, every time we receive the EDA drawdown, we remitted it directly to MPLT.
So everything that you guys receive, the reimbursement you.
Yes, because that's
So
the
how
agreement.
paying the rest of the remaining of the 97 after the 15 million?
So like I think my understanding with the 15 million, so every drawdown you receive, it gets paid back to MPLT. So it's kind of like replenishing that $15 million line of credit. So it's like you're paying your credit card and then you pay it and you replenish, you get available credit back again.
So the whole thing, everything they received reimbursement?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a wash, kind of wash.
So, because I'm just trying to understand because this is 97
Yeah.
versus 15 million. So I'm just trying to understand how the
So I understand it's 97 million, but then sometimes these agencies don't really need 97 million. Like, I mean, they have the option to choose whether to go with the line of credit
so,
as
so
opposed to, you know, like for example, NMC and NMTech, sometimes they have the option to either choose to use the line of credit for an advance payment to the vendors and get a reimbursement back. It's an option. So they don't really, use all of it.
so not necessarily. For example, there's a project like over $15 million project. I know there's over 15 million project in that 97, right? So how you get reimbursed with that amount when it's not?
Senator, if I may chime in, it's just a partial drawdown reimbursement. So not every project's one shot 15 million. It's like 3 million at a time, right? So they just bill finance and they just pay it back, and the money's a wash. Yeah, it's not. Basically, you're just getting money just to pay in advance the project,
Yeah,
and then you get the money back.
My understanding back then is that it has to be used
Yes.
on that project, and then you won't get reimbursement unless you give them
Yes,
the documentation that you use that
you're right. So
funding in the
basically,
project. So what I'm trying-
basically, you have to use your own local money before you can get reimbursed.
that's what I'm saying.
Yes,
But because this is 97 and we only have 15 million,
yes.
so how we
So not
how
all
can we
the
reimburse if we don't spend?
not all the projects are simultaneously moving like a full speed, right? So I believe only the Garpan revitalization is ongoing, completed maybe 99%, and then the NM Tech is just starting right now. The EDA for Bird Island, I think the A&E just finished. They're gonna start construction. The park, was that the Civic Center? That's the next one, the swimming pool. It's just slowly moving.
Yeah, I understand. But I'm trying to understand the reimbursement. Are we using other source besides the 15 million line of credit to cover whatever that needs to be reimbursed?
I don't think so.
Then how are you gonna get reimbursed? For example, you have $1 and you only have 50 cents. How are you gonna get the other 50 cents if you don't submit the spending on that 50 cents?
Because in my opinion, I think it's just small partial payments at a time. So that $15 million is like a bridge. It's a bridge amount just to process payments slowly at a time.
Yeah, but even we process partial payment to the vendor, right? You're talking about the submission of documentation to EDA
Yes.
is the one I'm trying to find out how you guys getting reimbursed if we don't submit the complete amount.
Yeah, because it's by progress payments. So you don't have to submit the entire project. It's just when you do construction projects, it's progress
I
payments.
understand.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
understand. But what I'm saying is, even you submit one at a time, how can you cover the whole 97?
Because as soon as you pay one thing, you get the money back. So it just restarts all over again.
Well, you get the money back, you give it to MPLT for, that's what you said earlier, right? Once you get the reimbursement, you pay it back. Unless you get the reimbursement, then you pay again another.
Chairman Cruz, let me just chime in. I'm gonna just for further.
I'm just trying to understand, a simple,
Can you
like one-to-one, no? You're talking about one-to-one. And how can you be able to get reimbursed if you don't submit? Because the explanation back then is you have to submit the exact receipt and for the exact project. Otherwise, if you're taking another receipt from another, you're not gonna get reimbursed, because I think that's the reason why we're in this situation is we have to have a seed money for reimbursement, because I believe federal government don't process anymore about project, right? That we request for this for this particular, and we're granted for this particular project, but we're doing another project with that source. So I think that was what Liz was mentioned, that you, if you submit a different receipt from a different project, you will not get reimbursed because it's not awarded that different project. So I'm that's why I'm trying to understand how we working on the payment and the reimbursement, because we only have 15 million line of credit and this is 97 worth of awarded project, unless some of the project are not on the move or not going to be all the projects are ongoing, or and then that's why I'm trying to understand whether we have a different source that's covering the the line of credit.
Sir, for all I know is the 15 million is sufficient enough for the pool to keep moving the draw. It should be, it's just in and out. It's,
So in my opinion, we're not gonna get reimbursed with the whole. If we do the whole project with the 97 work, we're not gonna get reimbursed because we don't have enough money to submit a receipt that the EDA can reimburse us back. I don't know. I'm just trying to.
Chair,
one-to-one.
colleague, let me just ask, let me recognize Dave Dimopon to provide a little more clarity on the matter on which this mechanism is deployed.
I think to make it more simple is that the line of credit is locked in with the time frame of all the projects. And all the projects that are involved have a progress payment due date by monthly. So, the contractors, right, will bill Sinamay government on a monthly basis based on that scheduled payment for the next 6 years or something, And every time there's a drawdown from MPOT, then the funds they would receive from EDA will be used to reimburse that. So as the reimbursement takes place, the balance of the EDA contract amount will go down. That revolving amount of 15 million, it always been replenished every time there's a reimbursement until the entire progress payments pay off. Then that revolving account will not exist. And that's basically what's happening here. And is that correct, Sir Cabrera?
I'm sorry, just trying to understand. No? But so this project, the 97 is not worth 97. I'm trying to say, how much worth is this project to the contractors? Worth 15 million?
in total,
The amount, yeah.
the projects are worth 97 altogether.
Okay, no, but towards paying the contractors, it's worth 15 million. If that's the case, then I understand. I rest my case.
We have 15 million just to work with. That's basically.
Or 50 million, or maybe less, no? Not over 15 million, right? Because it cannot be,
With the interest.
because we don't have.
And if you're considering like inflation, but some projects are construction, they're breaking down into phases, right? So they get paid in phases, and I don't know if there's on Saipan projects a first phase of a project will cost 15 million. Maybe it's not. Maybe like 1 point something.
So if it's less, so meaning there'll be the 15 million will not be spent the whole 15 million, right?
No.
Because I know you guys the project will be like the
Slowly.
lowest bidder, no?
Yeah, slowly.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Senator Cruz. Thank you, Finance and OGM for your assistance. For second round, Senator Manny Castro, and then after that, I'll recognize Senator Pong Loya.
So, hence the importance of funding the finance team so they can do their audits, because had we solved this root problem in the beginning by giving them the resources that they need to do their audits, or oversight by whichever agency is supposed to be making sure that these reports are getting in time, we wouldn't be in this situation. The federal government would actually give us the money up front. But because we're, F minus in our reporting, we're in this situation where we have to borrow from MPLT because I think it was discussed earlier, like nobody trusts us anymore with money because that's why I think education, maybe we need to mandate because with all our money going into education, we shouldn't have, or most of our money, good amount of money going to education, we shouldn't have this problem. Same thing with the process of the utilities. Earlier, we heard that there's like 50 million in the Division of Energy, but then our annual power bill is only like 1.2 for last year. Like that 50 million, but what's the root problem or root issue? We need to do energy audit on all the government agencies so we know what's the actual cost, what's the waste of energy, which thank you, Grant, for starting that process. Because it's a real simple fix, but I guess that's any government, that's always the thing. We never address the root problem. We put another process, just like the Nighthawk. I really disagree with the Nighthawk putting our government on prepaid. I think we should just budget, do the energy audit, find out which departments are, what's the cost of energy, and appropriate that and pay CUC upfront. But in doing the energy audit, we can identify how much is the true cost and what's the true utilization, and make sure like every department that's not efficient with their energy consumption, we put in solar panels and even battery, and we don't even have to worry about net metering. If this building is using so much power, just make it, put in enough panels and battery storage to supply the building. So I just want to give props to all the agencies involved. I know a lot of the problems we're dealing with are not your problems. Some of them are our problems and previous legislatures' problems, or departments themselves, not taking accountability. But it's a very, systemic issue, but it can be solved. But we just have to really work together and communicate with each other. And I really encourage, especially Tax and Rev Director, please don't give up requesting for your needs, but also demonstrate, like come in with a PowerPoint, whether it's to the House or the Senate, and say, this is how much we're losing based on the lack of resources we have, or based on all the tax evasion that we have. And this is what we really need in order to get this government and community the revenue we need to be on top. Because we just, it's all process. Our process needs to be overhauled. And honestly, we can fix it. So let's fix it. Thank you. We need your help, all of you. Thank you. Oh, one more thing. Sorry. Since we have a 11 million, we should have like 11 million in indirect costs for these clean energy electric vehicles grant. Is that, what's the process of that? Like, remember there's this grant for our government to get like clean energy vehicles, maybe even those heavy like buses or floors.
You like to know the status of the?
Yes.
We submitted already more than 1 month or 2 months already at procurement for the bidding of those electric vehicles. I'm still waiting for them to make the formal announcement in the newspaper.
So this is again another trend. I think DPW came in here, other department agencies, and I'm not trying to put the blame on anyone, but we need to realize the root problem. Like earlier, like what was said, if the slower we spend, either we lose the money or we get less indirect costs. So the root issue we need to address is fix the process to make it efficient. the purpose of procurement is not to make it harder to procure items. It's supposed to make it efficient but in line with the law. So, but I think, you know, with all the issues in terms of audit findings or something, we keep putting more barriers, but I think we need to address the core of our issue. So thank you for your time, and thank you for just know that a lot of the information that you guys are letting us know helps us make better informed decisions in crafting such legislation. So I continue to look forward to working with all of you. This is bossing.
Thank you. Great comments, Senator Castro. So it's pushing. Oh, my apologies, Senator Paul Nglonia.
Just a quick one, Chairman, to have the finance put on record the discussion over recess about earmark funds to take care of the 25%. I'm not quite clear, but
Okay.
just so that we can put it on record, can they repeat it again? Thank you.
Okay, Pam. So the question earlier was the recent revelation that you received $2.7 million from the settlement of IPI and in the court settlement, right? So can you repeat and confirm that that is allocated and by law is going to straight to the special fund towards the 25% of our retirees?
So according to 4 CMC 2308, the payment for CGRT, which is the 2.7 million, will go for the payment of the 25% of class members' full benefits.
26.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I think a part, yeah.
Thank you. Members, I think that's pretty clear, no? So, okay, I'm gonna ask one last question and then we're going to recess. But here, during the discussion a couple of days ago, or I think it was yesterday, there was an exchange, an inquiry by sticking to the budget. There was 4 FTEs from DPL to be transferred to DOF, and there was a mention of an AG opinion. Did we get that guidance, that document? Can you turn on the mic, please?
We don't have any information of that, Senator.
So this is part of the budget package.
Yeah.
That is, we're entertaining. So the committee really needs it.
Mhm.
So whether by hard copy or hand delivery or email,
We can get the information later with the secretary.
ASIP, please, respectfully. I recognize Vice President Magofnia.
Thank you, Chair. Just one quick clarification. Going back to the reimbursement project from EDA. So when finance receives the reimbursement from EDA, it gets put into an interest-bearing account?
I'm not too sure what's the account, but our process is that it gets deposited in a separate bank account,
Okay.
and then we process a payment to MPLT right away.
And so that account that it gets deposited into, is it an interest-bearing account?
I'm not too sure, Senator, but I can clarify with
Okay.
Treasury.
And then also, next question is, how long does finance keep the money in that account before it remits over to MPLT?
I believe I think it's a fast turnover. Like as soon as we receive the money in the bank, we will process the payment
I know,
right
so
away.
I know you said it's a fast.
Yeah.
Over, so
but
what's your definition of fast? It could be 1 day, 5 days, 10 days.
I think 1 to 2 days. 1 to 3 days.
Oh, it's between 1 to 3 days.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Chair.
Thank you, Vice President. So, again, the AG opinion with regards to the 4 FTEs, and I think we already disposed of the 2.7. Thank you for that clarification. Any other members question to Mr. Cabrera or Ms. Palacios before we dismiss them for this meeting, from this meeting? Okay, with there being none, thank you. We're going to be on recess, but I want to thank Mr. Cabrera, Mr. Camacho, Acting Secretary Palacios, Pam, Mr. Palacios, and Director Alvarez for your engagement and your participation to guide us through with this, the line of questions that we have. We truly appreciate the information that we receive from you guys and your patience as well. Thank you. We stand on recess for now.